Hello everyone, I'm Shogun. Finally, we'll write this projectile. The projectile is relatively simple. We've written it once before. We'll just set it up quickly. Then, here we will have a collision component. We definitely need forward proof. After this component is added, we need a projectile component. It essentially acts as a movement component. Okay, with these two components, then we definitely need, since it's already there. So we definitely need a method to do it. This part probably doesn't need tick. But keeping it shouldn't matter much. Let's go to the constructor, because we have these components. So we need to do some instantiation of things. Since there's no tick here, we can just delete this, because we don't need tick. To save some resources, so avoid tick whenever possible. In this constructor, first of all, we definitely need to create our collision box. This is a spherical collision box. Here, since we include this collision, we need to include the header file. Include the two header files we forward declared. The location is this location, okay? You should have been taught how to find the header file, right? That is, you click inside this class and then just look at its folder hierarchy. Here, just rough it up a bit. The most important thing is this binding method. You must bind this U function. If you don't bind the U function, this method won't take effect. That's the situation. As for this method, our function signature is also quite simple. Let me implement it first. As for the function signature, you see after clicking in here, look at this function signature. Let's click into it. Okay, so with this way of writing, actually this function signature, essentially it just removes the first three. So that makes it a 5-parameter one. That is 1, 2, 3, 4. IAK. This is its function signature. You must call it exactly as is, okay? For example, if this place is a reference, 我当, I 当, if you don't have it, the function signature won't match. You'll get an error. So this is its function signature. Then, right here, we just bound this method to it. Okay, there is a red line here. Let's see what's going on. We can compile it. See if it's another issue. See if it's this editor. This is a problem with our development tools. Or is it another tool? Obviously, I still have some issues here. This compilation didn't pass. Let's see what the reason given is. It's simple, because we didn't write the name correctly. Okay, so that was our fault. Okay, so let's move on to the next part. This kind of error is very common. We often encounter this kind of error. For example, if you originally meant le, but you typed this instead. Yes, these are all very common errors, so everyone should be a bit more careful. It's often after you get used to it, your first reaction is to misspell it. And as for this collision box, set some parameters, that is, this box. The player cannot step onto it. And some other default parameters, just ignore it. Then this place, we need to set this root component to this collision box. Then next we instantiate this projectile component. These are just some parameters that are not worth mentioning. How to bounce, or some speed related stuff. Some update components. Since we need to update this root component, so here we just update it. It moves the entire actor along with it. And regardless, we only give it a 3-second lifespan. If you're too unlucky, if you don't set a lifespan after you spawn it, it will exist in the scene permanently. Then your scene will get heavier and heavier. Okay, as for this begin play, it seems we don't have this method either. We can delete it. It won't be used again. Okay, good. After deleting it, let's go back here. As for collision, it's also quite simple. We can just directly spawn the monsters, then directly enable collision here. This actor is not null. And at the same time, there is an extra collision here. This component is also not null. The component being collided with is also not null. Then you must enable physics first, before you can add an impulse force, because this impulse force needs to calculate physics. You need to have weight, mass, gravity, thrust, etc. Only then can you simulate physics. Then here a direction is given arbitrarily. Then assign it this position. Then the force in that direction for the impulse, right? Then finally destroy itself. So this logic is done. Now let's compile it. Okay, so basically there are no issues. Let's launch and test it again. Okay, so it's very obvious. We need to, between the projectiles here, we might need to specify the sphere. Otherwise, we wouldn't know it's not an actor. We are here we specified this projectile here. So it should be in this. It should be it. We need to take a look. This sphere should probably be specified. We will directly add a static mesh here. Actually, we don't need to write it so complicated, because this one just hangs a sphere. Then we find the sphere, the small yellow sphere. Right. Okay, so regarding this sphere, we might need to adjust its parameters, because it is currently too large. Then we lock its 3-dimensional coordinates. Then we directly scale it down all at once. Then we might also need to change the collision here, because this sphere itself has collision. We change this collision to just don't need this collision. Okay. Then there might be some other parameters. We'll just ignore them. Good. Now let's try it. Let's take a look. We'll just take this gun. Then, okay. In this case, it actually hasn't been bounced back, right? I did a simple test. I found this breakpoint. This is the breakpoint. It didn't trigger. The reason it didn't trigger is simple. It's because we didn't set the break shape correctly. Over here, this common setup here, I'm testing with this 002 now. And it works fine. You can see this is our wall. See, no problem. And this box of ours, see, no problem either. Okay, the main reason for this is I'll change it back. Let's change this default settings class back. In the weapon section, let's take this. It should be this one. That's it. Yes, okay, that's it. After we finish creating it, now we pick up this gun. Let's go shoot. You'll notice it goes right through. You'll notice, right. It did go through. Actually, it's because of this part. A collision here. We need to disable its collision. Yes, make sure this area has no collision. And then here, we can just use the auto collision. Then we set this branch to something rougher. Block everything. Okay, so basically this first case ends here. Since it's the first case, it's a bit more complex. You explained it in more detail. Although we've done it before, we might not have written this much code. Okay, so that's all for today. Okay, thank you everyone. And there might be some options. Probably some basic options that we didn't cover. If you're interested, just look up the comments or something on your own. For example, what these options are used for and so on, because it leans more toward blueprint. It's something you can understand just by looking at it. Okay, let's move on to our first case. Let me tell you here. Thank you, everyone.